I thought Lucas Almeida really had an excellent debut. This guy, I mean, he lost on the Contender Series to Hell's Uber or whatever the hell his name is, and he's fighting a guy Trezano who's not only a UFC veteran, but he won the Ultimate Fighter. That's 4 fights to win and get into the UFC, as opposed to losing on the Contender Series. And these Contender Series guys, you don't know if they're UFC bound. You have to wait and see. I mean, you would think the Contender Series fight tells it all, but it doesn't. Because a lot of those fighters, there's a lot of just dicey situations where some guys just don't belong, but they look like they really do. And Lucas Almeida had the record, but this was the test, and he passed with flying colors. And this was a stiffer test than most guys get coming from the Contender Series, a much stiffer test, in my opinion. Trezano, he's UFC bound. He's a UFC fighter. He's fared very well in the UFC. Of course, he won the Ultimate Fighter, and he beat some good fighters to get on, and then he beat Luis Pena just to rid anybody of any doubt because Pena was injured on that season. So he emerged from the top fighter of those 16 contenders. There's a lot of promise there just inherently. But Trezano, he's also done very well in the UFC. He's lost to Grant Dawson and Hakeem Dawadu, or Dawadu. But he's fared very well in both fights, despite being finished by Grant Dawson. I think Trezano, his skills are evident. He belongs in the UFC. Wasn't sure about Lucas Almeida, but he had the perfect debut. This guy, I mean, it looked like it was going to go another way. Whenever a fighter comes out of the gate strongly, a new UFC fighter, especially a debutant, to sound like a cocksucker, but when a guy's making his UFC debut and he comes out of the gate strongly and then things go against him, the tide turns after he's doing well. You see a lot of guys are just discouraged and they fall apart. They talk themselves out of the fight like, oh, there are levels to this, and this is the UFC, and they just fall apart. That happened to him, and he didn't fall apart. He was winning that first round, got rocked at the end of it, lost the first round, kept himself in the fight, kept his composure. And look, it was perhaps fortuitous that he got dropped at the end of the round as opposed to the beginning of the round, which is what happened with Trezano. It's where he was finished. But Trezano got rocked in the second round. He kept himself in the fight. But I thought Lucas was taking over. And in the third round, it took 1 minute for Trezano to eat a big shot. What was that, a left hook, I think? And he fell to the floor, and he just couldn't recover. He was in cover-up mode, naturally, and Lucas put him away. So that was an incredible debut. Like I said, when you see it going one way, usually that's the way it's going to go, especially when the tried and true fighter is going to be tried and tested fighter is going to be taking over. When that guy starts taking over, that's typically it. But instead, it went the other way. Lucas Almeida showed that he had that, veteranship, or whatever you want to call it, which on paper, I think he did, just fight-wise. I don't remember their records or whatever. 10-2, and I don't know. It's close. But either way, the guy making his UFC debut showed that he was the more composed fighter. He was able to retain his composure and fight on. Of course, offense has a lot to do with it too, and he was able to produce a late finish. This is a guy, Almeida, that's got a finish in like just about every round, every minute. He's an excellent fighter, and he's going to be dangerous till the bell rings. And he's also shown in his loss and in this fight, he's tough to put away. He's not impossible to hurt, but he's tough to put away. Great debut from Lucas Almeida. There's a lot of promise here.